Hello everyone, and welcome to the Navin Times Talk from the Heart. Our guest today is known by some as a guru of Ivy League colleges in India. Over the last 16 years, he has mentored and counseled more than 15,000 students and has sent a record number to renowned universities globally. Recently, he has also co-authored a book, the name of which is Indian Roots, Ivy Admits, 85 essays that got Indian students into Ivy League and Stanford. It's such a pleasure to be speaking with Mr. Viral Doshi of Viral Doshi Associates. Mr. Viral Doshi, hello and welcome to our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is really a pleasure. We have been looking forward to speaking with you for a long time. Mr. Doshi, from Cathedral School to UK, then to the US, and then a manufacturing unit in Mumbai, and to that mentoring. How did mentoring happen? How did it come about?
That's a question. First of all, many thanks for that very warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. The question that you have asked is often asked to me, how did I get into mentoring? It's a very interesting story. When I went to America in the 70s, I did engineering because that was the thing to be done. I guess your father was an engineer, so you had to become an engineer. Came back in the early 80s. In those days, it was very fashionable to go into manufacturing. So because my background in metallurgy, we started an alloy manufacturing unit. And that's the time when I saw a slight increase in number of students who wanted to apply overseas. So I started guiding them in my free time, in the evenings or the weekends. And one thing led to another, because once I started mentoring them, I saw that they were more confused about careers. It was more career counseling and mentoring that was required than just college applications. Around the late 90s, when our company was doing well, but we said a lot of imports started coming into India, and we found that our company was making losses. That led to one thing to another. We had a strike at our plant. And one fine day in early 2000, I decided enough of manufacturing. Let me go back to my passion. My passion was students. And I saw in India, there was nobody who was mentoring students or guiding students. So I think the best thing for me to do is to close down my factory and go full swing into it. So we started around 2004, 2005, and I never looked back. And I think the major focus for us is not just to send students overseas, but to basically mentor students, to guide students, because people are so confused today. So the mentoring, the guidance, the psychometric testing, and eventually obviously college applications became a part of our whole work.
Right.
It's been a very enjoyable 16 years, if you ask me.
I'm sure, and we are glad that you made that switch, because otherwise we would not have Viral Doshi Associates in Mumbai. So, Mr. Doshi, you're based in Mumbai as well as in other countries. Am I right?
Absolutely. Over the course of time, the Indian diaspora has expanded beyond India. You see people in Singapore, in Dubai, in London, New York. So over the last 16 years now, we have opened up offices in Singapore, in Dubai, in London, and New York. And typically I travel there 1 week in a month to deal. Mostly I deal with the Indian diaspora out there, because they have a much higher comfort level dealing with the Indian council than perhaps overseas council out there. It's been a very enjoyable experience of having offices all over the world. And that also keeps you in touch with what's happening around. You get a buzz of the whole education system, you know what's happening in other schools all over the world. And then we can exchange a lot of thoughts and ideas. And that's been a very useful experience of being more of a global person than just being located in Mumbai and being in India only.
Absolutely. Now, you said that you've been in this industry for about 16 years. From the time you started to today, with the internet and with so many other factors, of course, I'm sure the choice of careers have changed. What is this change that you have seen? Has there been any major switch that you have seen?
It's been a very significant change, I would say, and I think technology has played a very key role in the change in careers. If you go back in the 70s or even before that, you had traditionally 4 careers that you would be told to do. It'll be chartered accountancy, a law degree, or an engineering degree, or a medical degree. But things have changed so much that with the advent of technology, a lot of new careers have come up. Computer science has become the name of the game. Everybody wants to do computer science today. Data analytics have come up, bioengineering. Why that? I've got two of my students who have become very big internet influencers. Now, those sort of careers never existed 15, 20 years ago. So I think technology has played a very key revolution in increasing the choice of careers. And I think it's on the positive side. I think people have many more choices than what they had 20 years ago. But I've been always a very big fan of telling any student who comes to meet me that as when you decide what career to do after your grade 12, try and do something which you enjoy. Because eventually in life, it's not your undergraduate degree which is going to count, it's your postgraduate qualification. But since you have a plethora of choices, obviously there's more confusion also as to what career paths to follow. And that's where I guess we fit in, is to guide students and to find out what's the right career options for them.
In my introduction, I said you are the guru of Ivy League. For our viewers also, Mr. Doshi helps students get into MIT, Caltech, Stanford, Oxford and Cambridge, besides other colleges. Am I right, Mr. Doshi?
Yes, indeed.
So,
I think you're, sorry, go ahead.
No, my question to you was here. So with all these colleges that you are helping students get into, the choice, of course, like you said, it's not just the subjects that we have a plethora of. Today, it's even the colleges and schools and universities that have opened up to students, especially in India. You know, we are so excited about going abroad and getting that international exposure. Do you, in your opinion, believe that today mentoring is more important than it was when you first started, that is about 16 years ago?
Absolutely. I think that's because of plethora of choices. I mean, just think of it. 25 years ago, what choices did you have? You did the Indian curriculum like ISC, CBSE, State Board. But today you have a choice to do all those curriculums, plus the A-levels, plus the IB diploma program, plus the PYP, MYP program. So there's so many choices today. People are more confused than ever. And that's where I guess mentoring becomes a very important element, is to help students to find out what's the right choice for them. Because some boards may not suit some people. Some boards may suit some boards may be something that, suppose you want to go overseas today, I would have said yes, think of doing the IB and A levels. You want to stay back in India, do the Indian curriculum. But that choice is now there. How do you make that choices? That's where the challenge arises. So what we typically do, typically when a student is in grade 9, 10, 11, that's the time when he should choose as to what sort of board he should do, what sort of college he should go to. So I always recommend students at that point of time to undertake what is called a psychometric test. A psychometric test is a test in which we analyze your strengths and weaknesses, your interest and your aptitude, and we merge all three together to see what is the best career option for you. For example, a boy may want to do engineering, but he may not have the aptitude. Or if we'll discover he has the aptitude to go into law, we'll discover that from a psychometric test. So then what I recommend students, do the psychometric test, come down to 3 to 4 careers that you have a strong interest and a strong aptitude. Follow that up by reading about this career. There's so much of information on the internet today, so much information in the books today. Read more about the careers that you are passionate about. Third step would be speak to professionals in that field. I find that to be very, very stimulating when you, let's say you want to go into law. You speak to 3 lawyers today, they'll give you a much better insight into law than anybody else can. And fourth, and very important, job shadowing. Today, when you go to buy a new house, you will see the house before you buy it. If you buy a new flat, you will see it before you buy it. Then why not have a look at a career and then decide whether the right career option for you. So in your summer months of grade 10 or 11, go and spend a couple of days in different careers that get shortlisted from the psychometric test, and then decide if it's the right option for you or not. So if you follow this combination of 4 things, the psychometric test, reading about the careers, speaking to professionals, and job shadowing, I promise you'll get a very good idea as to what are the 1 or 2 careers that you should be doing after grade 12. And once you do that, then the best thing is to decide which countries you want to go to. Once you decide which countries you want to go to, then you should work backwards and decide what is the best board for you. And that's where the mentoring starts. The mentoring starts in grade 9, 10, 11 typically, to guide them through this plethora of choices, the right career path, the right board, and the right college afterwards.
So from what you have just said, is 9th standard the time where parents should take their children? If my child is in the 9th standard, is this the best time to take my child for a psychometric test?
I would say so. I would say typically towards in India, you have to choose your boards typically the end of grade 10. So I think end of grade 9, early grade 10 is the best time. But if you're already in grade 11, already in grade 10 and the board has been selected, you can even do the psychometric test in grade 11 and 12 December, which is the best career option for you. So the psychometric test can be used for two options. One, you should decide which career to do, but and then also decide which board to do. But if you already have a particular board in mind, the psychometric test will help you to decide what career to follow after your grade 12. So I think grade 9, 10 is ideal to decide which board to take in 11th and 12th, and for which career you want to plan, then either you can do it in grade 10, 11 or 12. That's the best time. Grade 9 early is too early. I would say end of grade 9, early grade 10. I think a child matures every couple of months. I'm planning grade 9 and 10. What they have in grade 9 in mind, they may change their mind in grade 10, because when they expose to certain subjects, better teachers, they start changing their whole mindset as to what career path they want to follow. So I say don't push your child too early. Grade 10 is a good time to decide what to do psychometric testing and decide what sort of career path and what sort of board you should follow in grade 11 and 12.
You had said earlier about, that there were just 4 major careers and professions that everyone wanted their child to get into: law, say medicine and engineering. Today, of course, we have spoken about the different choices. I mean, it is so varied and the number is so mind-blowing actually. There is one subject that I think there's a lot of mystery about and misconceptions. So mystery and misconceptions are going hand in hand. That is liberal arts. Now, when we hear the word arts, we only think about humanities. It's humanities. I don't want my child to get into humanities is what most parents think, of course. But can you demystify liberal arts? Can you tell us what it is all about? And if my child graduates with in liberal arts, what are the job opportunities for my child?
That's a very good question. And liberal arts, as you rightly said, has always been something that has confused a lot of people. Liberal arts is a very American term. I think this was perhaps invented about 200 years ago. Liberal arts is a curriculum which is a non-professional curriculum. What are professional curriculums? Engineering, law, CA, medicine, architecture. These are all professional careers. Why? If you do medicine, you become a doctor. If you do law, you become a lawyer. If you do engineer, you become an engineer. But liberal arts is a curriculum which is non-professional. So all the humanities and pure sciences fall under liberal arts. So English, history, psychology, philosophy, economics, which are all humanities subjects, fall under liberal arts. And all pure science like physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, maths fall under liberal arts. So people in India always, as you rightly said, think liberal arts is humanities. And liberal arts is a combination of pure humanities and pure sciences that comprise of liberal arts. So unlike professional careers, where you can start a career right away after you graduate, the liberal arts curriculum, you do it because you enjoy it. And then after finishing liberal arts curriculum, see what happens in liberal arts curriculum typically in India or overseas at some liberal arts colleges. In the first year, you get exposed to all the humanities subjects and pure sciences. And then last 2 years, you decide what you want to do. So suppose you fall in love with psychology in the first 2 years. Last 2 years, you study only psychology. Or if I fall in love with physics in the first 2 years, I only study physics in the last 2 years. But once I get a BSc in physics or a BA in psychology, to get a job is quite difficult, or get a career path is quite difficult. So obviously, if you do a liberal arts curriculum, you always need to top it up with a postgraduate qualification, which could be a law degree, could be a master's degree, could be MBA, could be a PhD, could be a CA. So that's what gives you the path to have a career. So liberal arts you have done more to educate yourself, how to think well, how to write well, how to speak well, and then you top it up with a professional degree. So with a liberal arts degree, you'll not get a job easily as opposed to a professional degree, but jobs are in plenty. To give you a very good example, the chairman of Mahindra & Mahindra, Mr. Anand Mahindra, he's done a BA in film studies. Or Mr. Ratan Tata has done a BA in architecture. Or Jack Ma, who started Alibaba in China, he's done a BA in English. But because all these gentlemen did something which they enjoyed at undergrad degree, they excelled. And because they excelled, they all ended up doing their MBA from top business school. Mr. Tata, Mr. Mahindra went to Harvard Business School, Jack Ma went to top business school in China. But they got there because it's something which they enjoyed. And they were all, some of them were liberal arts curriculums like English and film studies. So at the end of the day, don't pursue a liberal arts career or liberal arts degree to pursue a particular career. Do it because you enjoy it. But I think it just broadens your mind tremendously, and then top it up with a postgraduate degree which will give you the skills. So what you were asking, yes, your child will not get a job very easily with a liberal arts qualification. Will you get a job very easily with the liberal arts curriculum?
And a postgraduate.
And eventually in life, I've been telling everyone, eventually it's not your undergraduate degree which counts. It's eventually your postgraduate qualification. Do what you enjoy at undergrad degree. If you enjoy, you will excel. And if you excel, you can go to any top postgraduate qualification afterwards. My own son, he had wanted to study biochemistry in America. He graduated in history in Germany. My wife
Wow.
had 3 heart attacks. What will he do? I said, leave him alone. He topped with a MBA degree in finance and masters in public policies. What difference did it make? Things have changed. You see, in India, we couldn't have done liberal arts 25, 30 years ago because
Right.
for any parent, security was very important. But today, we have come of age where if you do a liberal arts curriculum, there is enough of potential in this country to get a good job placement and have a superb career by topping it up with a postgraduate qualification.
Right. You just gave examples of Mr. Mahindra and Mr. Tata, and you said they started off with something, and today they are in another field. And I'm thinking to myself, you forgot to mention Viral Doshi, because Viral Doshi did the same thing. Like, he started engineering, manufacturing, and now mentoring. So that's an amazing. I think you should give that example as well, Mr. Doshi.
Well,
To my
I've
next.
been asking my father in the 70s, I want to do psychology. He would have a heart attack. What do
I-
you do psychology?
Absolutely.
I'm an engineer, you become an engineer. But
True.
let me tell you, even if I look back at my life, having done engineering, it has really made me sharpen my analytical and logical skills. So when doing counseling, the ability to analyze and logically present also become much more interesting. So at the end of the day, whatever you do at undergrad degree will prove useful. So don't worry. Follow your passion.
Absolutely.
If you follow your passion, you will excel.
Absolutely. And Mr. Doshi, I also believe that, education never goes waste. You can apply it somewhere or the other. It doesn't have to be in a particular area. And coming to my next question, normally when you speak to children in the 8th or 9th or even 10th sometimes, I'm talking about generally, you speak with them and you ask them, what would you like to do? And the normal answer is, I will think after the 12th standard. How do we get our children to start thinking, narrowing down their choices? How as a parent, if I have a child who's in the 8th or 9th, how do I get them to start thinking what to do and narrowing that choice?
I mean, that's what I was mentioning earlier about the psychometric testing. So whenever anybody comes to meet me, my first question, as you rightly asked, I would ask a child, do you know what you want to do 10, 15 years from now? I would say majority don't. A few do.
Absolutely.
So I always say, look here, your long-term goal is to be successful. You can either be successful as a professional, whether you become banker, lawyer, journalist, or you become a successful entrepreneur. Any and every career that you do in life, you can compartmentalize it beautifully into either being a successful professional or a successful entrepreneur. Now, to be a successful professional or an entrepreneur, I would say let's work backwards. It's very important that sometime in your life you do what is called a postgraduate qualification, like a CA, PhD, MBA, master degree. But before the postgraduate qualification, you do your undergraduate degree, your BA, BSc, BCom, and before the undergraduate degree, you do your 11th and 12th. So the way I would always tell a child is, as in when you start your career planning, think of doing something after your 12th which you enjoy. And if you find out what you enjoy, do the psychometric test first. Shortlist 2-3 careers for you. Read about these careers. Speak to professionals and do some job shadowing. Believe me, doing that by end of grade 9, grade 10, you'll have a very good idea what are the 2-3 options which are there for you. And as you go forward to 11th and 12th, you do some more internships, speak to professionals. You will find out at the end of grade 11 or 12 what's the best option for you. And that's when you start deciding which countries to go to, which college to go to, and where to apply to.
You have spoken about job shadowing. Basically, we are speaking about internships. There are only, I think, just the one I know is the BBA course where they have compulsory internships. You have spoken, and I realize the importance of internships. Would you say that, even in the higher secondary, we should encourage our children into internships? And the schools, the institutes should also encourage that?
I would say so. I would say in high school, I don't think it's so much about internships, more about job shadowing. Because I think at the age of in the 9th, 10th, 11th, you're too young to do internships. Idea is to spend 1 or 2 days in different careers, get shortlisted for you and go and see what they do. Ask questions, meet professionals, see what they do. I think that gives you tremendous clarity. I think internship typically should be at college level because I've seen so many students, even after finishing their 3 to 4 years of college, coming back and asking me, Mr. Doshi, I'm confused what to do. I said, did you do any internships? No, we didn't. And that's the best way to find out. You may want to go into marketing. After doing a marketing internship, you may not like it at all. Or you may want to go into finance. You may just fall in love with it. So it's very, very important that colleges today are tying up with companies for internships over the summer months. but not as much as they should. And that's where I think, because if you look at it, most colleges don't have good career counseling cells at all. It's very unfortunate. Which college can you name me as true career counselors who can guide a student what career paths to do? Because they lack that, I guess, that whole desire to place students for internships doesn't arise in college, most of the colleges out here. And obviously the college has to take a lot of effort to tie up with companies for internships. So that's why it's left to the student to find out what's the best internships for him. Now, this has led to some interesting opportunities overseas. There are a lot of companies which have started tying up students with internships. They charge a fee for that, but they sort of place you for an internship with a company and also for research. Now that's something also somebody in India can do. I think there's tremendous potential for that also on a professional basis. But yes, doing an internship is very, very important. That's the only way you can find out whether that career which you really want to do is the right career for you. But in school, I think it's too young to do internship. No company wants to give an internship to a 9th, 10th standard student.
No, not 9th, 10th, but 11th and 12th?
11th and 12th, I would say not more than a week's time. That's more than sufficient. I don't think you require to work for a month at this age. We don't even know what they're doing, And they should just go and observe, go and see what they do. But I would say, I would use the word job shadowing rather than internship.
Right. Now, globally as well as in India, which stream or which board do you think is the best? For example, I haven't decided still that if I want to go abroad, but I want to keep that choice open. So tomorrow, just we are talking to some young mothers. If I'm talking to some young mothers, they most often are like confused. We don't know where should we put them for CBSE, ICSE, state. There is a lot of confusion. What would you recommend?
I think I would work backwards out here. I don't think any board is better than another board. I would work backwards. First, as I was mentioning earlier, first let's decide what career path to follow after grade 12. Second step would be decide which countries to go after the 12th. Once you decide on both of these things, then I would work backward and decide what is the best board for you. As you said, as we were discussing, you have the A-level board, you have the IB. Both of them are relatively new boards into India. A-levels was there many, many years ago in the 40s, 50s and 60s, but it got taken away when India started having the Indian curriculum in the 70s and 80s. It's made a big bang now and come back in full swing. The A-levels is a superb curriculum. We do only 4 subjects typically in 11th and 12th. The IB is also very interesting curriculum, very broad-based. You do 1 English, 1 foreign language, 1 maths, 1 humanities, 1 science, and 1 performing arts. You get a very holistic education. The ISC, CBSE has been our conventional curriculums where you do either science, humanities, or commerce. And the state board is also very similar. If you are looking at going overseas, between you and me, it doesn't make a difference which board you do.
Oh, is it?
When you talk to colleges abroad, they say, Mr. Doshi would rather prefer a topper from the state board than a person who's done IB and done average. So it's a complete myth that IB and A-levels has a better chance of going overseas. It's a board. You should look at your child, look at his strengths and weaknesses, and select a board which is best for him. It is best to be in the top 10% of a board which is suited to your child, rather than go to a board which looks good and sounds good for the corporate circuit of India. So that is very, very important. And I'll give you umpteen examples. Last year we had more than 80 students going to Ivy League schools. From where? From Vijayawada, from Gorakhpur, from Surat, from Jalandhar. State board, CBSE. It didn't make a difference at all. So at the end of the day, I'm a big believer, do a board which you enjoy, because when colleges look at evaluating you from overseas, they see how well you have done, and eventually you'll always do well in a board that is suited for you. So don't jump into a board which looks good and sounds good. Yes, IB is a great curriculum, A-level is also a great curriculum, but sometimes it doesn't suit somebody. But if I have to tell somebody very clearly, if you are looking at keeping both your doors open for India and overseas, then I think Indian curriculum is superb, the ISC, CBSE or state board. If you're looking only at India, then obviously it makes sense to do the Indian board or the state board. If you're looking more at overseas, and if a child is open to doing a broad-based curriculum, then I would a little bit edge towards the IB and the A-level syllabus, because I believe the IB and A-level syllabus keeps you much better prepared for overseas education than perhaps what an Indian board would do, because they make you think, on a scale of 1 to 100, if I do put in terms of memorizing in the ICSE, CBSE state board, if 100 is maximum memorizing, ICSE, ICSE, CBSE, SS will be around 90 plus. Whereas if you do the A-levels or IB, it will be about 10 to 15. So that's where the joy arises. The child learns how to apply his mind, think. But again, I repeat, it's not suited for everybody. It's an expensive curriculum. And if you want to keep your doors open in India, then the international curriculum is not the best, although they are recognized, but they find it much more challenging. Children who go through the international curriculum like IB, A-levels in 11th and 12th find it very challenging to adapt to Indian colleges afterwards. And two, also, sitting for the entrance exams for engineering, law, or medicine becomes much more challenging because syllabuses differ and the exams are in May when you have the IB final exams. So, as I was saying earlier, look at it, if you look at India 100%, the Indian board, India and overseas both 50-50, Indian board, if you're looking at going overseas and if your child would like to, then perhaps if you have a good school in your city, then perhaps think of doing the IB A-levels, because IB A-levels is still coming of age, because we have, I don't know whether you're aware, India has now, we are in the top 3 countries in the world with number of IB schools. There are more than 200 IB schools. But what is happening, the delivery of the curriculum is becoming a bit challenging because the teachers who are teaching them have been sort of chosen from ICSE, CBS and pulled into IB. So they have not changed their mindset. It at least take one generation because the IB becomes, well stabilized. When one generation of Indians who study the IB and come back and teach, then I would say the IB will come in its full form and become the education it deserves to give. So, no, all the curriculums are good, answering your question. Don't get carried away by other parents. Don't get carried away by other students. What is true for your child may not be true for some other child. So, analyze your child's strengths and weaknesses and select the right board for it.
Right. You spoke about that, these schools, these IB and A levels, they are not just only expensive. Like, we don't have too many in Goa itself. So I was just going to tell you that I don't think the number of schools are many. And then you said that there are about 200 in India. I don't think a lot of us know that. So that's a great thing. And also where you said that it doesn't matter. What's important is doesn't matter which board you're doing. Finally, what matters is sterling academics. In whatever you do, you have to excel. And I think that's a point. I'm sure the parents and students who are listening will be so happy to know that this is, it's very important.
Example, I had a girl from Manav Mandir school in Goa. She got to Stanford.
Wow.
What more can I say?
Right.
Indian curriculum, ISC curriculum. So eventually half the time all these boards are just to keep up with the Jones, I would believe. And it's fashionable to say my child is doing IB levels.
Right.
It's a great curriculum, but your child has to be suited to it. And if it's suited to it, it's a great curriculum. But the delivery is not there. Stick to the Indian curriculum. If you plan your 3 to 4 years in high school properly, any board is a winner for you.
Absolutely. So you have said that today universities are looking for sterling academics. That's given. Besides the sterling academics, what else are they looking for? If my child is trying to apply for this, what else would he or she need to work on?
I think that's a question. Let me step back for 2 minutes and let's just talk about which are the countries that most people look at after grade 12. Let's just make 5 columns. Put USA, put Canada, put UK, put Singapore and put India. Let's compare it. Let's do the nuance of comparison first. In terms of duration of your undergraduate degree, USA is 4 years, Canada is 4 years, UK is 3 years, Singapore is 4 years and India is 3 to 4 years depending on what you study. 2, in terms of flexibility. Let's say today you decide you want to study engineering, you will shift to economics. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highly flexible, 1 being least flexible, USA is at 10.
Okay.
I've had people who want to study engineering there, they're graduate in filmmaking. Canada is at 5. Flexible, not as much as America. UK is at 1, Singapore is at 1, India is at 1. So all the countries ruled by the British have no flexibility.
Okay.
In terms of the curriculum, in the USA and Canada, you have continuous evaluation, weekly tests, monthly tests. The end of the term exam is only 30% of the final grade. So if you do badly in one test, you can always make it up in the second test. In UK, it's one end of the year exam. That one exam goes badly, the whole grade goes for a toss. And in Singapore, India, we are best of both the worlds. We have end of semester exams. 4, in terms of job placements, on a scale of 1 to 10 today, I would say 10 being easy to get a job, 1 being difficult. I'll keep US at around 6 to 7. Not easy, not difficult. If you do well, jobs are always possible. I'll keep Canada at a 9, very welcoming. UK also at around a 7. Singapore at 7 to 8. India at 10. I would tell any student of mine, if you want to go...
You said India 10? Mr. Doshi, may I interrupt? You said India 10?
Absolutely. This is the most happening place. Any student of mine who wants to go overseas, the last thing I tell them, young man, go overseas, but come back to our country. This is where the action is for the next 50 years. come back. This is where you can really blossom out here if you want to blossom out here. And 5, let's talk about even the cost. In the USA, your total cost is going to be approximately between $80,000 to $100,000 a year. 4 years, that's about 2.5 to 3 crores. In Canada, the cost is going to be about $80,000 a year. 4 years, approximately 2.5 crores. All inclusive, lodging, boarding, tuition,
Right.
cost to parents, as we call it. In UK, the cost is going to be approximately $70,000 a year. 3 years, that's approximately 1.7 crores. Singapore is about $50,000 to $60,000 a year. 3 years, about 1.6 crores. In India, varies. If you go to Mumbai University or Delhi University, it's 1 lakh for 3 years. And we go to private colleges like Ashoka, Kriya, Symbiosis, it ranges from 25 to 35 lakhs. It's a big difference education system. So now coming back to your question, what is going to be the criteria to go there? Let's just define it. In the USA, they look at 5 things. First, they look at your academics. In academics, they divide into 2 parts, the rigor of your academics and the performance. In terms of rigor, if you're doing the IB or the A-levels or the ISC, CBSC with advanced placements, all of them are on par. Half a notch low will be just CBSC and ISC without advanced placements. And finally, the state board. So there are 3 students. One is done IB, one is done ISC, one state board. If all of you have 80%, they prefer 80% of IB perhaps. But having said that, if IB has done 80, the ISC boy has done 90, and the state board is on 95, they prefer the state board. So I was telling you earlier, it doesn't make a difference which board or which school you study in, it's how well you do. And then comes to performance. In performance, if you're going to America, they look at every term of yours in grade 9, every term of yours in grade 10. They look at your 10th board exam very closely, 11th every term, and 12th up to your pre-boards or prelims. Why? Because in US, they believe a student who works continuously for 4 years in high school will also work continuously for 4 years in college. So rather prefer somebody who has a straight graph or an upward graph. If you have a downward graph in 11th and 12th, you're finished. That's why select a board in 11th and 12th where you have a steady graph or an upward graph. Very important. 2, there's something called the SAT or the ACT exam, the entrance test in English and maths. We'll talk about that later. 3, they will look at your extracurricular activities from grade 9 to 12. 4, they will look at your recommendations from 2 teachers and 1 counselor. Teachers will talk about your academic performance. The counselor will talk about your extracurricular activities. And 5, they will look at your essays. But when applying to America, please note, the academics and SATs will have a weightage of 60 to 65%. The extracurricular recommendations will be 30 to 35%, and the essays will be 5 to 10%. So I always tell students applying to America is like baking a cake. The academics and SAT is the core of the cake. The extracurricular recommendations are icing on the cake, and the essays are the cherry on the cake. So it's first academics, second academics, third academics, fourth academics, and fifth academics. That's a message I would tell any parent and student. It's academics which gets you into a top school. I was telling this girl from Manu Mandir, she was a topper in her batch. That's what got her into Stanford. So eventually, it's academics who drives applications, not extracurricular activities. In Canada, the difference is they look at academics just like America, but there's no SAT or ACT standardized testing. They look at extracurriculars, recommendation essays like America, but in Canada, academics weight is 80%. Everything else is 20%. If you're applying to UK, it's very different. They look only at your 10th board exam and your 12th board exam grades. No SAT, ACT, no extracurriculars. Very interesting. 1 recommendation and 1 essay they write. So, but in UK, academics become 90%, everything else is 10%. And if you look at going to Singapore, they look at academics like America, SAT like America, that accounts for 95%. But they don't require any extracurricular activities, no recommendation, but just 1 personal statement. But in Singapore, academics and SATs will be 95%, everything else will be 5%. And look at India, we look at going to Ashoka or Kriya, they follow the American system. Academic SATs, extracurricular recommended essays and interview. Whereas other schools like Delhi University or Mumbai University will be based on a 12th board exam. And a lot of private colleges like Symbiosis, NMIMS, Christ will have an entrance test at the end of grade 12. Combination of the marks in grade 12. But nothing else in terms of recommendations, no essays, and no extracurricular activities. So as you come more towards the east, the emphasis on academics increases. As you go more towards the west, they look at the overall person.
So you said extracurricular activities. Can you name some extracurricular activities that would look impressive and would floor the university staff to take you and say, yeah, okay, let's give this person a chance?
I don't think there is any one extracurricular activity which stands out. Extracurricular activities encompasses so many things. It could be sports, it could be a national level squash player, tennis player, swimmer. It could be something in community service. It could be something in debates. It could be in modern era nations. It could be something in research. It could be a leadership role in school. It could be journalism. A wide variety of things. This is where the mentorship comes up. This is where a good mentor can identify a child's strengths and weaknesses and identify what sort of extracurricular he should do, which can stand him out. And one thing is very important. Instead of doing 10 things, like a little bit of debate, a little bit of dance, a little bit of music, they always advise you do 2 or 3 things, but go into depth. That's very important, not breadth. Depth is very, very important. Just to give you an example of some of the interesting extracurricular activities some of my students have done over the last many years, going to top universities. I'd send one of my students to Dharamshala in Tibet. Dharamshala, sorry, where the Tibetan government exile stays in Himachal. And he studied how a government in exile functions for 2 months. So imagine writing a report on government in exile. Another person is a Parsi boy. He did a whole project on documenting the oral history of the Parsis, which is a dwindling population all over the world. Another student of mine, he had worked with the Tihar jail in Delhi, and he was from a boarding school in North, and he tied up with the Tihar jail with the inmates who used to make food, and he packaged the food to supply to boarding schools all over North India. Another student of mine, very fond of Marvel comics. So he went to 2 Marvel comics conferences abroad and held India's first Marvel comics conference. Another student in Delhi, I remember she used to stay in hostels, and there were a lot of unemployed youth out there. So we were just discussing what to do, and we said, why don't we train this unemployed youth to become guides? So we did a whole guide program for 3 months, and they became guides earning 10,000 rupees a month today. And another girl who was a girl guide in Calcutta. And today in India, we are very poor documenters. There was no documentation how to become a presidential girl guide. So she prepared a whole document how to become a presidential girl guide to help other girls become girl guides. So here we are. These are extracurricular activities. This is what we have to identify. And this is not something, that's why I don't follow. And one big mistake a lot of people make, I would say 2 mistakes. One, remember if you're going overseas, extracurriculars count for only 15 to 20%. And people got paranoid about this word extracurricular activities, profile building is nonsense. Remember that nobody gets in because of profiles. Everybody gets in first because of academics. If the academics and the standardized tests are in order, then the profile will be looked at. So don't be in a hurry. People want to start doing profile building grade 9. That's ridiculous. Right time to do any profile building would be in grade 11 and 12. When your child knows what career path to do, that's the right time to build a profile. I always believe grade 9 and 10 are the years of exploration. Grade 11 is year of consolidation. And grade 12 is year of application. But people become so paranoid. In grade 9 they want to start because they want to be one step ahead of the competition. It's ridiculous. And I've seen all my students who gone to top universities were people who started in grade 11, not in grade 9. But
Mr. Doshi, sorry to interrupt. You know, the competition is so severe, so challenging right now. So it is, parents are very paranoid, like you rightly said. We want our children to get into the best schools and we want to prepare them early. We all have it into our minds that if I start early, I have a better chance of getting into the best colleges worldwide.
I would disagree completely with that. I think start at the right time, not at the early time. That's a wrong message. Any parent I would say don't, because I think people have no idea. The child in grade 10 doesn't even know what he wants to do. What are you going to do for extracurricular activities? It looks, half the extracurriculars look so artificial. Colleges know you done it for a college applicant. There's no genuinity. But when you come into grade 10, you're more mature. So I would tell parents, let them explore in grade 9 and 10 what they want to do. You have enough time in grade 11. And if I'm analyzing all my Ivy League admits over the last 20 years who have gone to top schools, 90% started building up the profile in grade 10, grade 11. So I'm a big fan. I would tell anybody, first focus on academics. Get your reading in order, get your academics in order. Starting so early is I don't think works at all. But as you rightly said, parents become paranoid because you see 3 other mothers doing the same thing in some cocktail party.
Absolutely. Yes.
I would say with folded hands, don't follow these mothers. Let your child focus on his academics. Let him focus on his reading. Let him explore what he enjoys. And after he explores what he enjoys, then consolidate in grade 11. There's enough time to build up application. Enough time. And you are more mature by then to decide what is the right option for you. Starting in grade 9 and 10 doesn't make sense to me at all. And this is something, it's like hitting a wall, because every parent wants to start in grade 9. And I say, I'm sorry, I'll meet you only after grade 10 because you're more mature, your child is more mature. will enjoy doing the mentoring and the building up the profile building. So my advice to anybody: focus on academics grade 9 and 10, explore what your child wants to do, let him read exhaustively, and then let him decide end of grade 10. And then 1 year in grade 11 is more than sufficient to build up a profile. I don't know why people have to go in grade 9 and 10. I have not realized that, but I've stopped saying that because everybody gets very nervous and just calm them down, saying relax, start in grade 11.
But you would recommend that if I am a parent whose child is in the 9th, you would recommend that I take the child for the psychometric test at least?
100%, definitely. Grade 9, end of grade 9, end of grade 10, do the psychometric testing. There are a lot of good testings available in India and overseas and on the internet. You can contact these and get it done. But I think that's a very valuable resource which we never had earlier. And today with the plethora of choices, if you can do the psychometric test and identify the right career, then you can work backwards and design how to build your profile.
Yes, yes. Now,
one more request to parents: don't push your. Every Indian parent today is putting their sons into computer science without even having the aptitude for computer science. And they come to me, no, he has to do computer science. I say, leave him alone. Why are you fulfilling your ambitions to your own child? Let a child explore in what he wants to do. That's why I always tell people, 11th and 12th, you'll find out what you want to do and then decide what's the right career path, rather than pushing a child in grade 9 and 10 that he has to do computer science or only engineering at the end of the day.
Mr. Doshi rightly said that we parents love to, we live our life through our children and we want to accomplish what we didn't do it, in our own youth, we want our children to do. Now coming to the different tests that you've spoken about the SATs. Besides the SATs, what are the other most common tests? And if you could just tell us a little difference between them.
So to go to the US is where you require the testing, something called the SAT, something called the ACT. The SAT is 2 components: maths, 800 marks, basically 10 grade maths, and reading, which is English comprehension writing, out of 800 marks. Totally the SAT is out of 1600.
Right.
The ACT is on par with the SAT in terms of recognition. The ACT is divided into 4 components: maths 36 points, reading 36 points, English 36 points, science logic 36 points. But here they take the average out of 36. So typically when you finish your grade 10, that's the right time to do a diagnostic test in SAT and ACT and see which one you're better in. Don't jump into something which somebody else has done, because one child may be more suitable for SAT, somebody may be more suitable for ACT. So see whichever is best for your child. Do coaching over your grade 10 summer, and sometime in grade 11 they should attempt the SAT or the ACT to give you an indication how competitive things have become. And that's what I was telling earlier. In grade 9 and 10, encourage reading, because 50% of SAT is reading, 50% ACT is reading. That's where most Indian students falter. Most students are not reading this stage. They do very well in maths, but the reading is what pulls them down. I'll just give you an example. To go to a decent college, let's say like a Boston University, you require a 13-15 SAT and a 13 ACT out of 36. To go to a good university like US or UCLA, it's become 14-50 out of 1600 in SAT and 32 in your ACT. To go to a very good school like Northwestern, Carnegie Mellon, you require at least of 1500 and a 34 in ACT. To go to Ivy League school like a UPenn, Dartmouth, Cornell, Brown, Columbia, etc., a 1550 and a 35 in ACT. And to go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, Caltech, a 1580 and a 36 on ACT. There are always exceptions, but this has been the norm. So to do well, please encourage your children to read, and the reading habit should start in the 6th, 7th. They should be, because the reading basically analyzes the reading of last 5 years. If you don't read, you can't do the SAT or SAT and do well by 1 month of preparation. So cultivate the habit of reading in grade 9 and 10 along with academics.
So when you're talking about reading, you're basically speaking about reading the newspaper, right?
I would say beyond newspapers, there are lots of lovely magazines to read. I would say read as many American magazines as you can, because most of the resources of comprehension passages come from American magazines and newspapers. That's what I would encourage you to do. But even if you don't read newspapers or magazines, read books. Read whatever books they want. Read anything that they like. But let them read. That's very, very important. And I think we should give incentives to children to read, because I think, especially boys, if you don't give them incentives, they never read. So I think boys, you start giving incentives, they do read at the end of the day. And I've seen people who are well read always do the best in the SAT in grade 11 when they do the SAT exam or the ACT exam. SAT and ACT are on par, both SAT and ACT are on par for US colleges. So which one doesn't make a difference. Do a diagnostic test in 10th summer, and find out what is the best for your child and do that one in grade 11, not to worry at all. And you can do it multiple times also, but don't try to do it multiple times. You can do it once, twice, thrice. Although colleges mention that they look at the best scores over 3 times you do it. But between you and me, when it comes to admissions, they would prefer somebody who's done it once than somebody who's done it 3 times. So do it. So my recommendation, anybody, SAT, don't do it early in grade 11, do it towards the end of grade 11. That 1 year of exposure to English and maths can make a difference to your score by 100 points or 3 points in ACT.
Right. You were saying that boys, we have to encourage and give incentives to boys because they don't read. I would like to tell you, I remember a parent telling me once that I asked my son to read, and the boy asked her, read what? The news? She said yes. So saying, I'm watching it on my phone, right? So yeah, this is the normal response that you get from children nowadays. I think that's it. Now, you were speaking about the SAT and the ACT test. Mr. Doshi, how does one prepare for it? Can we do it from the internet? Can I sit at home? Can I get some books and sit at home and study for it? Or do I have to go for classes?
I think, as I said, first do a diagnostic test after you finish your 10 boards and see which one you're better in. For the 10th summer, there are 2 ways of doing whichever one you're better in. You can do it online. You have the Khan Academy, which is free of charge, which is a good resource base.
Can you repeat that, please?
Khan Academy.
Khan Academy, okay.
Very good resource base, free of charge. You can do coaching out there. 2, you can buy books like the Baron's Guide or the Pension Review to help you. But I sometimes believe doing a coaching class is helpful. And the coaching classes now, because the pandemic is all online. You can do coaching classes, the best ones from Mumbai, Delhi, sitting in Goa, or wherever you are. But a coaching class, I believe, helps you in a couple of ways. 1, it gives you discipline to do whatever they give you as homework. 2, they give you test-taking tips, which otherwise you will not get. I think the SAT is more for confidence on the day of the exam. And what happens, doing a coaching class gives you a sense of confidence when you do the exam. Like when you play golf, if you know you're going to hit a bad shot, you hit a bad shot. Similarly, in the SAT day of the exam, if you know you're going to do well thanks to your coaching class, you will just do well. So I think if it is possible, I would advise putting that expense for a coaching class. If you're going to be spending $80,000 to go to America, I think spending $1,000 to do a coaching class is absolutely worth it, I would say. And the child also feels much more confident and does much better. Right.
Now, besides, like you were saying, UK, the US, and now of course Canada, these are the 3 countries that we Indians, or Singapore, were always looking at. But have you seen that there are other countries today that are coming up and offering very good quality education besides these 4 countries?
Absolutely. I would say even in the last 20 years, traditionally, if you look at, let's say, 100 kids going overseas, I would still say 65 to 70% will go to USA. And then the balance, 25 to 30% will go to Canada, UK. Other countries which are coming up, for few and far, Holland is coming up popularly. Hong Kong used to be there. Singapore is again a popular destination, but it's getting very competitive to get in out there. Australia is there, but again, not for all the courses, I would imagine. But it's fine to say go to Europe. See, if there is a financial constraint, yes, Europe is a great choice to go to. They give handsome scholarships in Germany for engineering. Holland is a good choice. France has one of the good schools. But most of the schools are in the local language, okay, colleges. Some of them are in English also. But I would still say hardly 5% of the population going overseas goes there because a couple of things. When you go to countries like Europe or you go to something like Hong Kong, you don't get that diversity which you get in an American, Canadian or a UK campus experience. 2, also, the locals tend to be much more insular. For them to mix with the South Asians is not easy. So I've seen people go to Europe and to Hong Kong. At the end of the day, when you go to college, also your networking isn't the friends that you make in life. That's where I find lacking in Europe and in Hong Kong, those places. They're coming up, but I still feel that, given a choice for any parent, if he can afford it, he would rather go to the West, to UK, Canada, USA, for some reasons. 1, the flexibility of the curriculum, job placements, the diversity, and they've seen other seniors who have gone there and been successful, America, why is America Mecca? Because you see somebody like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai, all the boys want to become like them. That's what you require. And unless that happens in these countries like Europe or Hong Kong, which is going to be much more challenging because the Indians out there are not as well settled or welcomed as perhaps in America. It will take a long time for those countries to come up. But yes, they are coming up. But generally, I would say hardly 5% of the population going overseas will look at the new countries. But Ireland is there. But depends. Medicine, Ireland is good. Czechoslovakia is good. Holland is a very popular country. France is coming up well. Germany is very good for technology. So there are choices. But I would say still, given a choice, if you can afford to go overseas, go more toward UK, Canada, or USA.
If I apply to the US, what is the time frame? Like how much in advance do I need to apply?
Typically, when you're applying to USA, the US colleges start in August, September of each year. You typically start the applications 1 year in advance. So typically, in the August, September of grade 12 is when you start your applications to USA. It takes you about 4 to 5 months to finish all the applications because it's quite exhaustive filling the forms, getting recommendations, making your resume, writing your essays. Whereas Canada doesn't take more than a day or two, and UK takes also 1 day. So America is where the major challenge arises, the very exhaustive application process. And also you must understand, I don't think people would know that in the last 10 years, I have seen a jump of over 200% in number of people applying to, students applying to America. And the reason is very simple. One, foreign exchange is now freely available. Two, number of IB schools have increased, so more people going abroad. Three, affluence. People have much more money today to spend. Today, my major clients don't come from Mumbai and Delhi and Bangalore and Calcutta. It's from Raipur, it's from Nagpur, it's from Surat, it's from Rajkot, it's from Coimbatore, it's from Jalandhar. This
Goa.
is India today.
And also Goa.
Of course,
yes, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the new India today. And internet is most important. Internet has become a level playing field. Guy from Patna could have never applied. This year, a boy from Dhanbad is going to Stanford. Dhanbad,
Wow.
DPS Dhanbad, CBSE boy. So he would have never thought of Stanford because he has no access to information. But now with internet, he's on par with the Bombay, Delhi kid or Bangalore kid to be on par. Colleges abroad, they want diversity within India. They're not looking only at a kid from Delhi and Bombay. So, from Goa, we'll love to take you. You're from Dhanbad, we'll love to take you because you give diversity. So I would say if you're in Goa 10 years ago, I would have said you have a big disadvantage. But today, I would say you have an advantage because you're from small town India. They want diversity. So anybody who's from Goa, look at the application seriously and you have a very good chance compared to a Bombay, Delhi kid if everything is on par.
Absolutely. You spoke about earlier, you spoke about scholarships. You did mention something. So, what is the difference, Mr. Doshi, between scholarship and financial aid?
That's a very valid question to ask. In America, they give what is called financial aid. Financial aid is based on the need of the parent. They ask you to fill in a financial aid form, and if your parental income is less than, let's say, 120,000 US dollars, that's approximately 80 lakhs or below, you qualify for aid. The financial aid is a component of four things. One, they give you outright grant where 10, 20, 30% of the tuition is paid for. Two, they'll give you a scholarship where you get a scholarship from a particular person or something within the college where you don't have to, that much of fees will be deducted from your, so if your total fees is $80,000, you get a scholarship of 10,000, that will be deducted. Three, you'll get a work study where you work on the campus and repay the university. And four, you get a loan which you repay over 10, 20 year period. So financial aid comprises of four things: grant, scholarship, loan, and work study. Whereas a scholarship is a small component. Now, scholarships are not popular in America at all. In America, everything is financial aid. If let's say Mr. Ambani's child applies, he's the most brilliant student out of India, he will not qualify because he has the money. So, but let me put it this way also: asking for aid sometimes diminishes your chances at most US universities because they say, Mr. Doshi, we have enough students from India who are very good, who are not asking for aid. So you rather prefer somebody who's not asking for aid than asking for aid. But there are certain colleges like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth, none of the small liberal arts colleges like Middlebury, Amherst, Williams, which are need blind. Need blind means they don't see whether they've asked for aid or not. But other colleges will look at, like a UPenn or a Columbia. If you ask for aid, they will put you in a separate file. Okay, we'll see it afterwards. But these sort of colleges which I told you will not look at your need. They will not go against you if you're asked for aid. So you have to identify the right colleges which give you aid. But aid is only possible if you're below income level of $120,000. But the word scholarship is very popular in Canada. Canada gives you very handsome scholarships. They give you $60,000, $80,000 spread over 4 years. With that much of tuition gets reduced out there. The advantage of Canada, a lot of people prefer today from India, is once you study in Canada, to get a permanent residency is much easier.
Right.
So a lot of students today go to Canada for 4 years, get the permanent residency, work out there, and then go to USA for the master's degree. So they have a backup for going back to Canada to work, or in USA to work afterwards. The challenge arises in UK and Europe. To settle down is much more difficult, I would say.
Yes.
In terms of settling down, Canada would be number one, then USA, then Canada, and then UK, and then Europe, I would say. So financial aid, very popular in America, but be careful before you ask for aid. Two, in Canada, handsome scholarships available. UK, I'm afraid nothing is available at all because they depend on Indian students for driving their incomes up. Singapore gives you good scholarships. They give you 2/3 of your tuition is paid for if you sign a bond that will work there for 3 years after graduation.
We have very little time, and I think there are two very important questions that I need to ask you. First is, for every child that who's an overachiever, who's really good and has sterling academics, okay, he or she is also an all-rounder. From thousands and thousands of children that apply to different colleges, what would you say are 3 things as a parent I should do to help my child to get into the best colleges? My child is very good in studies.
Very simple, very straightforward. I would say read. Make the child read, encourage him to read. That is the first thing I would tell any parent. Start that in 8th, 9th to make them start reading. 2, allow them to explore what they want to do in grade 9 and 10. Don't impose what you want to do on them. Let them explore and find out after doing the psychometric test and doing job shadowing and reading what is the best career option for them. And number 3, instead of doing too many extracurricular activities, focus on 2 or 3 which the child really enjoys and go more deep into depth into that. If you do these 3 things, I think you'll be a winner at the end of the day when you do your college application in grade level.
Right. And the last one, now with the pandemic and the challenges in going abroad, would you recommend to students that they should take a break, or maybe do some other courses in India, and then when everything opens up, they should apply? Because like you said, 2 crores and 2.5 crores is a lot of money. So if I'm going to do it online, it doesn't make sense to me. So what is your opinion on this?
It's funny you ask this question because I've seen a big exponential increase in number of students applying to Indian colleges over the past 2 years after the pandemic struck.
Right.
And all like Ashoka, Priya, Symbiosis, Delhi University, Mumbai University, NMIMS, CRISE, ask them, big increase because, as you rightly said, people don't want to pay this sort of money if they're going to do online classes or hybrid classes. So, but I personally believe, I hope I'm correct, and from what I understand, I think this pandemic will subside in the next 1 year or 2 years. I don't think we should be worried too much about that. But if it comes to a stage where the pandemic continues for another 2 to 3 years, then honestly, I would say it's not a bad choice to look at India seriously. The challenge in India, Ms. Fernandez, is how to get in because it is so competitive and the number of colleges are so few. If the parents want to go to Ashoka, Mission Doshi is so competitive, go to IIT is so competitive. So that is why people are looking at going more overseas. But I'm a big fan that if you can get in a good Indian college or stay in India, it's always an advantage. But because getting in here is so difficult, parents want to send their child abroad so they don't get flustered not getting a good college. And I would support them on that. So a lot of students are what they're doing, like in engineering. A lot of my students do 1 year or 2 years in engineering college here, and they transfer to the second or third year to America. Very popular option. The joke in America, it's easier to transfer than getting as a freshman. So that's a popular option I would look at. Or alternatively, finish your 3 years of undergraduate degree here. Can't hurt you. Then do a master's degree from UK to get that 16th year of education, and then go for your postgrad degree to America. A lot of my students, I do 3 years of business, economics, humanities out here. 1 year top it of the masters in UK, so get the 16th year of education. Then MBA or a PhD or a law degree wherever from the world. That also works like a charm at the end of the day. So, but you see, it is going to be challenging. But I don't think we should really think about the pandemic now. I think it's been the last 2 years. Things are coming back to normal to a great in America, all the colleges, UK. If you go to them, the online classes are virtually reduced to minimal now. Hybrid classes still are there because certain professors above 60 plus, they can't be teaching physically. But I think in the next 1 year, you will see normalcy coming back to a great extent. I don't think I should be worried too much about that. And I hope I'm not wrong. And the pandemic has struck everybody. But yes, you're right. I would not spend this sort of money to do online classes or hybrid classes right now. I'd rather stay back out here or look at going to Canada or the UK where the expenses are much lower than going to USA.
True, true. Mr. Doshi, thank you so much. We have learnt so much. I'm sure parents and students who are watching, you have got a lot of information that is going to help you. And from all of us here, and Mr. Doshi, thank you again. Please do come again on our show whenever it's possible. And to all those watching, thank you for your time. Thank you for the effort that you've taken and listening to it, but I'm sure it's going to help you somewhere down the line. From all of us here, take care of yourself. Until next time, thank you.